I'm Maddy. I am a PM on the .NET team at Microsoft. I worked with Joseph and Miguel of Zago fame and Clancy when I was like a little lady, and they spoiled me and they turned me into like an evil devil. And they went off into gaming world, and I stayed at Microsoft at the big evil corporation, and now I own a product called .NET Aspire, which we're trying to drop the .NET from, because every time you say .NET, people think you're 105 years old. But yeah, I work with, the C# .NET, whatever you want to call it, team. And I was in the mobile world. I was in the kind of like app world, not game side. And so I'm coming to you as a humble non-game developer. It will show. But I've played a lot of games. And I too have downloaded Godot and put sprites in a scene. And I'm like, I am in game. This is awesome. So I know actually exactly what I'm talking about. But how many of you were like non-game devs before you went to the game world? Anyone? Okay, a couple of you. So this thing I work on called Aspire. Basically, on the .NET team, we were building a bunch of features to make building apps, modern apps, better, right? Like when something doesn't work, you can retry automatically. Oh my God, logging. Like, whoa. What we were doing was turning them on, and we had docs and all those things, and C# is the best, and I actually do really like GD the more I've been playing with it, but C# was the best. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it, right? And it really is this full stack language for everything. But it's also very difficult to build apps today because there's so much shit in them. And I'm sure most of you have at least like a mobile and desktop version, or you might have the web, or maybe your website runs out of the same repo as the rest of your source. And you probably now have, this is a shopping app, right? But in the game world, this is when we start talking about auth and leaderboards and multiplayer and all these services. And you might want to build them all into one single project, but then you end up with a monolith, and then you end up not being able to scale pieces. So when Fortnite drops Sabrina Carpenter, you can't like scale the lobby and not scale the Scion, right? And then that costs you money. And the cloud is scary. This was a screenshot from a year ago of the cloud native foundation landscape of things. So this is the word of this. And as you all know, because games are like the worst victim of this, they're just words that do things. Like help. Yes, that is a product. Like, oh, great. Spiff, Venoms, like you can't, these are not Googleable. Like, what are you doing? So you now all of a sudden have become an expert in not just the front end of your games, especially for indie devs, right? Because we do it all. And by we, I mean all of you and me in my closet. You have to do it all yourself. If you want to do online, that's their problem. You don't have a services team to do that. And now you have to become an expert in some kind of database and some kind of messaging or queue system. You probably have to do some caching stuff, and you're like, dude, I don't want to do it anymore. And this is kind of where I was when I came in from the mobile side to the .NET, to the Aspire team, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna go work on this cloud thing. Like, let me build an app with more than just a database that's stored locally. And I immediately got like wildly overwhelmed. You can't just run the project anymore. Everything just, it's complicated. There's Docker Compose and there's scripts and there's blah, blah, blah. So .NET Aspire was born almost 2 years ago now. Well, it's conceived 2 years ago. It was born like a year ago. And really, it is a bunch of things under one concept. We call it like a toolkit, toolchain, platform. Platform is scary because it sounds like you have to re-platform, which you don't. But it's really just tools, templates, and packages for building like modern apps, right? And the nice thing about games are that they're just front ends with back ends, like everything else. And the front ends are just a lot nicer than like, Snapchat or whatever. So you put a lot more effort into that. But the reason I'm here is because we have been so far very focused on, traditional .NET Core apps, right? And we have been, the more we've talked to folks, we talked to the guy who does Stardew Valley's .NET guy, which is very cool. Eric, we talked to him like 2 weeks ago. That's so cool. But I like literally was like, wait, can I join it? And they're like, no. We talked to some folks, a bunch of Epic Games runs on Azure, so we talked to the Epic people a bunch. What we realized is that game developers are developers too. And we actually can probably also make your lives easier. So I have a bunch of half-baked stuff that we've been working on and kind of cooking on for the past 6 months or so related to Godot particularly, but game devs and using Aspire with games. And so I'm going to show you what Aspire is in the context of a Snake game, because like I said, I am not a game developer. And what I'm really here for is to hear if you guys think this is actually helpful and what you want us to build, because I can put whatever I want on the backlog and I can say, let's go build it. And games, I think, is a really underutilized kind of C# population. We just let you guys do your own thing, which is probably good, actually. Maybe that's why you're full. But I do think that we can do a lot with Aspire to make it easy for you to, whether you're using GDScript or C# in the front end, connect all your different types of backends. And now we have AI, so that just adds cloud to everything, and it just makes it a mess. Also, there's no YAML in Aspire. So that just right there, everyone should use it. Thank you. Before I show you, I will show you the quotes so you have an idea of what to look out for. We call it Aspire-ified, and Aspire-ified app, that's the official verb. It is not trademarked. I don't have the domain. Aspire-ify.net has been bought. That's the only domain that's been bought. Please don't buy the other ones. First and foremost with Aspire, you clone a repo, you can F5, everything runs. And I'm talking your game, your backends, all of them, your containers, whether that is databases or a Redis global instance or an emulator for Cosmos or just various executables. So it's kind of like Docker Compose on crack, but you write it in C#, right? Which is pretty nice. Aspire also turns on a bunch of that stuff in .NET that we don't turn on for you. So if you're building an API project, we turn on logging, OpenTelemetry, service resilience, service discovery. We call them the defaults, right? And so when you create a final new API, you can now F5, see what's talking between your front end and your back end with OpenTelemetry, and see it all in the dashboard that's running locally. So you don't have to wait until you deploy it to test like what data you're getting and the actual flow of things. It's all NuGet based, which I know is, so we're making our own command line so then you don't have to deal with NuGet, I'm sorry. But you can package things up and say, this is how I want everyone in my company to implement auth, and shove it on NuGet, and then they do Aspire add.myauth, and it wires it up, right? So we leverage kind of these existing .NET paradigms. And then we add a whole deployment story. I'm not gonna talk about it today, A, because of time, and B, because it's very complicated, but just know that if you need help getting things to the cloud, we can do that too. But it's not, not scary. Just ship it, All right, let me show you what I'm talking about. So I found a C# Snake game on GitHub. Is this anyone's here? Somebody behind her. It has like 4 stars. I was like, this is exactly what I want. Is anyone fan Chickensoft? Heard of it? Yeah, nice. That has saved my life because I don't know how to write a launch JSON. So over a couple days, I kind of hacked together how to make this run. Made my environment variables, I'll set up all, fancy. And so it's just a Snake game. I'll launch it. Hopefully it functions. And it's not doing anything. But hey, it's a UI now. Okay, that's fine. It's because I keep changing my Git branches on a non-active thing because I'll push them out. So what I want to do is add a leaderboard to this app, which I could probably just shove into the code, and it's already doing like a bit of scoring locally. So it does this score plus 10. I don't know why it's plus 10 and not plus 1, but whatever. Somewhere right here. I don't know. It's in there somewhere. What I want to do is have a leaderboard that I can look at, and I set the key to L. So every time I type L while playing Snake now, it will save my progress. Yes, I know. Why are you doing this? I swear I'm a real adult professional. So, I Aspire-ified this. I'm gonna show you my API so you realize I'm not doing anything really natural here. I am allowing all of the course shit because I hate dealing with the web. And then I am saying map coast leaderboard, add an entry at this endpoint, okay? Super easy. If you don't know about minimal APIs of C#, by the way, welcome to the future. It's amazing. Look, there's no squiggly braces. There's no indent. Do you know how nice this is? This is like a 84-line file. Half of it is bytecoded, and like it's actually readable. So I thank you for rolling your eyes at that. I appreciate it. I think we have to mention bytecoding now like at least twice for 10 minutes or something, or we get fired. So it's fine. And then I Aspire-ified this. So you can do right-click add Aspire. You can create a new project from the command line. You can do it a whole bunch of different ways. What Aspire gives you is a .NET project with this one thing, program.c#. Let me see more. Oh, that is not going to look good. Let's see this. Let's do this. Shut up, C#. Okay. What Aspire does is in C# lets you define your app so that instead of launching 5 different .NET projects, your Godot app, and then, backend 1, backend 2, whatever, spinning it for containers, you launch the Apex file, and that defines everything. And it's accessible because it's just code. And it's if-defable, or, if-elseable. So you say, if environment variable, Maddy's computer, run this shit. And not, don't run this shit, right? And it's source control because it's a project. And so what I'm doing here is 2 things. This one's simple, this built-in add project. You can add any .NET project. You can also add JavaScript, anything that's Node or NPM orchestrated right now. That we have a bunch of packages in the community for PN, yeah. Gross. I think we have a Dio one now. I was like, I just can't. And we also support Python out of the box. And then we have Java, Go, Rust, all the other cool ones. Both Rusts, the game and the language. I did put the Rust game logo on a slide once, and someone was like, you don't have a Rust game integration. You mean the language. I was like, yo, I actually do mean the game engine. No, what someone built it over we get. And then I built what I'm calling a custom integration. And so there's a whole bunch of these things on the builder header, right? The builder is just how you build things in C#. So if I do builder dot, oh my God. I can do anything here. I could do add, C# dev kit. Wait up, bro. Thank you. Project, any executable, any container, anything, right? All of these things I just add. And if I need to pull in new things, I can add a Docker file and just build a container from a Docker file. I can add a URL as just something I keep in my source here. And I built a custom one of those add things. We call them integrations, hosting integrations for Godot. And it's one file. And I had a glass of wine before I started building it, which is how you know it's actually not that hard. And what I did was I ascended this builder pattern to create a Godot resource. This looks way more complicated than it is. A lot of it is just cruft. So, and this is all white down here. I pulled Godot off the environment variable because that's good engineering, right? And now Chicken Sop uses the environment variable to kind of source where the executable is. So I like that pattern a lot better than try to get it added to path and everything. And I basically said, okay, this Godot resource is just adding an executable to Aspire, but I'm running it with the Godot command. And in the directory I give it, and then you can pass arguments in when you don't have to. And now when I run this, I'm also doing this thing called with reference leaderboard, which is purely an environment variable. That's all it is. But when I run it, I'm gonna hit F5. Actually, I'm gonna hit the button here so I know I'm launching for it. Aspire is now the project that builds it, and it's going to build both my API and the Godot thing under the debugger, which is nice. You don't have to debug things separately. We as the .NET folks, we keep telling people stop debugging because it's slower, and people keep going, we just debug everything. And then you go to a JavaScript conference and they say, what's a debugger? I don't use that. You say, oh, okay, that's cool. But it's up to you. You can do it either way. Just whatever settings you want. I won't know. I won't get mad about it. And so this is building and running it, and then it's gonna launch this dashboard a little bit too fast.
And you own this cross tab too, so it's not.
There's my snake game that I stole someone on the internet. And Aspire creates this dashboard. So, God, this is hard with the mic. Okay. I have two things on this now. I have my snakes game, which is, you can see what it's doing. It's a Godot executable to the cert path. I did verbose logging because I don't know what I'm doing. And then I also spun up this API, which has two endpoints I can go to. So this is the HTTPS one, right? Obviously, this is not a valid endpoint, but if I use something like leaderboard, it's supposed to return a JSON of the leaderboard. Really complicated coding here. So I'm gonna go to my snakes game down here. I'm gonna hit L a couple times. Maybe I'll actually try to do some scores. Whoa. My snake up here. Very exciting. I looked at my husband last night. I was like, I'm a game developer, by the way. He was like, he who was actually written, like, not legit, but much more legit than me, indie games, he was like, you can't just say that. And I go, yes, I can. So I'm gonna hit L a couple times. Hit L one more time. Okay. If I go into my Godot snakes resource here, there's a bunch of things I need to see, including it's got this reference to this leaderboard, which just comes in as an environment variable, passing whatever URL Aspire starts up. So Aspire will look for open ports on your machine and pick them, which if you work on a cross-platform team is like a lifesaver, because every time I try to clone something on my Mac and someone on Windows picks the port, it never works. And Aspire handles all of that, which is great. And then I can go and I can actually view the logs for us, and I can see all of the logs coming in from Godot. Yeah, good. I like all the eyeballs that just got very excited. I appreciate that. This is just as if I ran Godot with VS Code, but it's now in this dashboard, which means I can also look at the logs for my leaderboard right next to it, which I implemented no logging in because I'm a good engineer. But if I go and I refresh the leaderboard now that I did much else, right, I have data in here. And I can actually see that data flowing by going to my traces. And in the traces, I see what's getting and posted to the leaderboard locally. And then I can click on them and see what's happening. And as this becomes more of a real app with like actual actions and it's calling out to multiple APIs, and maybe when you sign in, it calls out to a database, blah, blah, this becomes more colorful and interesting. But fundamentally, this is all it is. Metrics are not useful for most people locally, especially game devs, because it's running under the debugger locally. It's good for like diagnosing things. You can actually deploy this dashboard internally in like a container app and use it to monitor things, but it's not a replacement for like real data base. It's just a good runtime little tool. Oh, there's this graph too. Look at that. You can drag it around. Sometimes when I'm waiting for something to load, I just drag it around to be like a small child. Okay. Now, that was with VS Code under the debugger. I think this is all on GitHub. So you can go like look at this and play with it and use it and contribute to my horrific code if you ever want. What I'm gonna do now is show you what's in the other branch, and if it doesn't work, we're just gonna switch to the other branch because I don't have a lot of time. We have a command line for Aspire now, so if you are allergic to .NET, which if you're in this talk, you're probably not because it says .NET in the title, but if you have coworkers who are allergic to .NET, which there are people, they don't like using the .NET CLI because they think it's gross and it's pulling in like 20 megs of stuff or 20 gigs of stuff and VS, and it's just not, that's just not true anymore, but it's okay. We built like a really small API CLI tool for Aspire that runs things. And this is where we do some NuGet abstraction. So I can actually do Aspire add, I'm gonna do Postgres, because let's say that I wanna add my leaderboard stuff to a database, so I don't have to keep it in memory and keep my API alive all the time, right? So it's gonna find my Athos, it's gonna say, do you wanna add a hosting to Postgres? I go, yeah, that's great, thank you. Hold on, the like is why I actually type.
Was the thing that would that go off because I
My God. Okay. And now in my program file, I can create a database.
I'll just do builder.add Postgres. I'm going to call it, I should spell it something that I can actually spell. Leaderboard DB. I'm not going to let Copilot interrupt me and ruin my life. We have built in the ability, to also spin up a PG admin instance, which is just like their administrative UI for things, all through Aspire, right? What this add Postgres is doing is this is not based on add executable. This is based on add container. And so we've defined the container. You can give it all of these different parameters. You can say what image of Postgres you want. You could say if you want to run locally, if you want to connect to an instance somewhere from a container registry, whatever. And then I'm going to add a database to it too. I'm going to say R leader. This is a terrible idea. This is add Postgres. Postgres. Var to leaderboard. DB equals Postgres. There you go, Copilot. That was actually useful. Thank you so much. And this is going to have to be leaderboard DB. Okay. And then I can, in here, just add a reference to that.
Oh, that's that.
With
Fritz.
leaderboard DB.
Right.
Okay. This looks syntactically valid. Sweet. So now when I do Aspire run, it is going to look to see if I have a container runtime on my machine. I have Docker. I have it open. It works with Podman too. And it's actually going to pull in a Postgres image into my Docker, build it up and spin it up for me automatically. So it's all hopping up. You know how it goes. This is super zoomed out, but it just started up this random named PG because PG is when I named it, and then it's a unique identifier from the latest Postgres image that I could find on the Docker container registry. And then I can see everything running in the command line, but I can get right back to that dashboard via pre. I can see that this thing is starting or has some issue, and I can actually go and investigate what's going on with it. Looks like it was just starting. And then I can start to programmatically define how to make my app not blow up when I hit F5, which is another huge issue we have, especially when you're running like databases that take a minute to spin up, or RabbitMQ is really bad. So after with reference, I could do something like wait for. And now I also am not going to start my API until the database starts up. But maybe I don't want to rebuild the database every time. So I could do like with lifetime. Not here. I would do it on here. With lifetime, container lifetime dot persistent, which just means, hey, when I control C the Aspire CLI or I stop running the debugger, don't kill that container I have running in my Docker right now. And we have a bajillion of these things, right? So you can, it's just code, and it's all just the .NET Builder pattern. It's incredibly extensible. If like a dinky PM can write Godot like integration in an evening, then you guys can do much more exciting things, I promise. But now, the snake game, I obviously have not actually connected the database yet, but it is, hold on. But again, it is, up and running, which is really cool. And then I can do the same thing here. I can actually see with our integrations, we turn on OpenTelemetry and everything for all these things in the NuGet packages. So I can go and actually see that it has health checks running and it's healthy. I can see all the environment variables in it. I can see it's not being called at all, so there won't be any traces, but they would pop up here if they would. And so if I switch my branch, and hopefully don't blow everything up, force, discard. No, please. Please let me be bad at coding. Changes, discard all. I'm usually a command line git person, but I'm really trying to be a good VS Code user, and it's just making me sad. Someone told me you can't just do like git reset every time something goes wrong, and I was like, I can actually, and I do. But oh well.
So this, I just had it actually hook up to the database. Burp, 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 hopefully. And I can do the same thing. And so you can see like in the prior run, the database actually gets like a TCP port I can talk to. PG admin gets a URL it's now being hosted on. So like I'll do this as well. I'll open that up and we can actually see there's like, oh, come on, bro. It takes a second. I know. Stop it. My poor little MacBook. It's okay. Oh yeah, it's not even like yet. That's why. But if I go into my Snakes game and I start clicking around, log, and then I go into my thing here, it's actually doing the database commands, right? And it's just doing it. It's amazing. It's magic. And then yeah, now that PG admin's up, I can go and click on it, and I can actually go into my database and look at the stuff in here and what's being done at runtime. All under localhost, all on F5. So I am going to show you my final slide so you can take a picture of it, and I'm going to get out of the way. This is all you need to know. Today's sample. That's supposed to have a bunch of other links. I deleted them all because they're all too long and ugly. My email is maddy@microsoft.com and MADDY. If this is something that you think is helpful, like shoot me an email. It's all open source. It's all on GitHub, .net/Aspire. We have a bunch of tutorials. We have a Discord that's super, we're in the .net Discord, but the Aspire channel's popping. We actually think we're gonna make our own Discord because we're being too annoying. And we're all really into breaking into kind of, making game devs' lives easier, especially because AI has made everybody's lives harder in terms of building AI experiences into your apps, right? So let me know. What do you think? I'll hang around here for like a half hour, and then I have to go home and pack for a flight that's in 5 hours. So catch me soon. Whatever. But yeah, I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to me bright and early on a Tuesday. And I am in Boston, so if you're in Boston, feel free to reach out too. We can get a coffee. So thank you.